Welcome, everyone. My name is Luis Antonio Pichardo. I'm the founder and executive director of DSTL Arts. DSTL Arts, as I call it, is a nonprofit arts mentorship organization that inspires, teaches, and hires emerging artists from underserved communities. I'm happy to have you all here today joining us for today's seminar on for potential applicants to our Poet Artist Development Program. Joining us today is also our master teaching artist, Abraham Jaramillo. On the screen, his call line there, his little name is Photo. That's because he is also a practicing photographer and mixed media artist, as well as poet. And so, either Abraham or myself are available to answer questions for you during today's session. But to just kind of get us right into the action, I'm going to begin presenting my screen now with a brief, hopefully brief, I should say, a brief slide deck. The slide deck will be made available to you after the reading, after today's session, and it will also be posted to our website along with this video, which will be posted to YouTube. Again, this is being recorded for anyone that needs to refer to it later, or for anyone that was unable to attend today's live session. Hopefully we'll be able to answer all of your questions throughout the presentation, but there will be a Q&A period at the very end as well. All right, so DSTL Arts. We are here to discuss the Poet Artist Development Program, and this program is part of a larger organization that is called DSTL Arts. Like I said, our mission statement, which was what I said at the very beginning, is specifically to inspire, teach, and hire emerging artists from underserved communities. Our programs do serve emerging artists primarily. We also have some, mid-career artists that have joined us or who have evolved into what we would consider a mid-career artist at this point during their time in our various programs. But mostly we serve people of all ages and abilities across various platforms, which I'll kind of explain a little bit more. We really, though, as an organization, exist to help people develop skills and transcend limits through the arts. That is, in fact, what the DSTL stands for in our name. It is an acronym, but I pronounce it DSTL Arts. And, as a little side note, I started DSTL Arts actually 10 years ago. This year in October, it'll be 10 years since I actually started the organization. And since 2013, early 2013, we've been offering the previous iteration of our Poet Artist Development Program, formerly known as the Arts Mentorship Program. The other programs that we have, including the Poet Artist Development Program, which you are here today to learn about, we have our Conchas y Café bilingual community writing workshops. That's actually a triennial series. We do offer it 3 times a year. Each time it is a 12-week series that is offered typically under like pre-pandemic circumstances. It was offered in partnership with libraries in the South Central and East LA area. Because of the pandemic and with everything shifting to virtual platforms, it is currently offered virtual only. And looking forward into the upcoming months, it will likely continue to be offered as a virtual only program. But that said, it is still a 12-week program, and it does offer people the opportunity to practice writing. We also have our Art Block Zine. Art Block Zine is a biannual publication that specifically features emerging artists from LA County. It's kind of like our love letter to LA, as we like to call it. And in that one, we have an open call for submissions that is pretty much ongoing. However, each issue that we print throughout the year, has a theme to it. So just like our Conchas y Café workshop series, our Art Block Zine and also Artistic Zine typically have a theme that we encourage people to create around. It's free to submit to Art Block Zine, and it's also another way for you to get a publishing credit through our programs. And lastly is Artistic Zine. Artistic Zine has gone through a couple of iterations, a couple of evolutions in the past 4 years that it has been offered to our community, but Now, moving forward, it is an annual anthology that specifically features autistic emerging artists. So, individuals on the spectrum are encouraged to submit, and this is open to people across the country. So, this is U.S. Residents, we'll call them, only. But Artistic Zine does have a current call for submissions, and if you or anyone else might benefit from submitting artwork to Artistic Zine and is also autistic, the current submission period closes on August 1st, if I remember correctly. So those are our other programs. You can learn more about our other programs by visiting our website. The link is, as you see here, DSTLARTS.org. This is what our homepage looks like. You just simply go to the programs tab there, and you'll be able to learn about all the different programs that we offer. So, the reason why you're here today, the Poet Artist Development Program. The objective and goals of this program are really aligned the most with our mission. The primary objective of the PAD program is really to support emerging poet artists from historically marginalized communities through the development of new and existing skills in your preferred artistic medium. We do encourage people to apply who are both poets as well as visual artists. We as artists ourselves, myself and Abraham, actually practice multiple mediums. I personally studied literature in my undergrad, and that's what I have my MFA in poetry specifically. However, I do also practice graphic design, photography, and illustration, and painting. Abraham, very similar. Abraham also practices photography, graphic design, poetry, and pretty much all the mediums that we cover through our various workshops. We also, through this program, though, aside from helping you develop your skills as an artist, really focus on developing tools and an awareness of how to market yourselves as a working artist. All of us know and have heard the saying before of the starving artist. That's something that we really want to kind of shift in people's minds. We want to encourage people to think of themselves as working artists. Now, our goals or our objectives are met through a couple of different things. This program offers weekly creative workshop sessions where we basically break out into small breakout rooms using Google Classroom and Google Meet to give people the opportunity to workshop amongst their peers, projects that they're working on, whether that be specific to the program or things that they're working on outside of the program that they want to share. The other thing that we do is we also use Google Classroom as a way for you to turn in work to us so that Abraham and I can give you very directed feedback on your artwork, whether that be writing or visual art. Those weekly sessions typically happen on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. So most of the time we try to accommodate for people that are working during the day. And again, these are weekly, typically about an hour and a half long. Additionally, we offer on a monthly basis for about 7 months during the program year, professional development seminars. Those seminars focus on things like how to fundraise, how to set up a website and develop a marketing plan, how to really think of yourself as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And those skills that we teach through those particular seminars are things that we encourage you to actively practice as you begin to establish yourself as a working artist. Some of the other things that we do through that particular seminar series is, provide you with certain kinds of tools like, spreadsheets and even in some cases, links to upcoming grants that you as an emerging artist would be eligible to apply to. Furthermore, as part of our weekly workshop sessions, this is an opportunity for you to develop a manuscript, a 30 to 60 page manuscript that would potentially result in a chapbook being published, whether that be through Distill Arts or through other presses. A chapbook, if you're not familiar with that, is typically a short form book, normally done in a smaller format. And it could be either a collection of poetry, a collection of microfiction, flash fiction, or for visual artists, it could be even something like an artist book or a portfolio book that you would then be able to use to, potentially get gigs and, that kind of thing. One of the benefits of publishing with Distill Arts, if you decide that you want to submit your manuscript to us, is that we do offer a publishing agreement for 3 years. And within those 3 years, you would be paid a royalty for every copy of the book that is sold. The details of that royalty agreement are, going to be worked on specifically with you later, but just as a general kind of like a statement for everyone, our royalty rate is 50% of the sale price, of the retail price. So, that's one potential way to earn a little bit of a recurring income. I'm not going to lie and tell you that it's a lot, but, depending on how active you are as a person, as an artist, in promoting yourself, the more book sales you get, the more your royalties will be over the course of the 3-year publishing period. Lastly, this is an element that was introduced into our program just this past year. It's the optional teaching artist internship. The internship is an opportunity for emerging artists such as yourselves who would be applying to this program. It would be an opportunity for you to gain some experience, some practical experience as teaching artists. Many artists do supplement their income by being teachers and teaching particular skills in the arts. So this internship program that is part of our larger poet artist development program does give you the chance to, over the course of 6 weeks, develop a lesson that both Abraham and I will kind of coach you on delivering. And it would also be in support of our Creative Impact Workshop series. The Creative Impact program is more of a way for us to engage the community through social justice themes and help our community members really articulate what is important to them. Every year that theme actually does change. So this upcoming program year, the cohort which you potentially would be a part of would be specifically looking at the impact of homelessness on our community and also the cost of living as a whole. So it's an opportunity to explore a lot of different things that impact our community, but the workshop that an intern would be developing would be focused on some of the themes that come out of that, homelessness and the cost of living. The internships are also paid. So over the course of the 6 weeks, you would be working with us very closely to develop your lesson. And then upon executing your lesson within a community environment, whether that be at a library or with a program site that is partnering with us, after you complete the teaching of that lesson, you would be receiving a $200 stipend. So not only are you getting the experience of being a teaching artist, but you're also getting paid, which can be pretty transformative in some cases. The definition of an emerging poet artist for us here at Distill Arts is a practicing poet artist with less than 5 years of experience, either exhibiting artwork and or less than 10 publishing credits. So, if you've been publishing for, say, the last several years, but you've got less than 10 publications in which your work is featured in, that would still allow you to be considered an emerging artist based on our definition. If you're a visual artist who has been exhibiting artwork, whether that be in a gallery or, in other sort of gallery-like places, if you've been doing it for 5 years or less, you would still qualify in our definition as an emerging poet artist. If there's like a combination of these things, that still obviously will qualify you as one of our emerging artists. Additionally, in order for us to be able to enter into certain kinds of agreements, such as our publishing agreement, applicants must be 18 years old or older. at the time of application, you don't necessarily have to be 18 years old. However, if within the first couple of months, you are turning 18, then we can still obviously consider your application. Also, this program in particular is sort of LA County exclusive. So, artists must reside in LA County. Given the geography of LA and, our ability to work virtually, there is a little bit of flexibility there. However, to be able to provide a workshop for us, it would have to happen within LA County. There is a priority that is given to individuals living in the communities of South Central, Watts, Compton, Boyle Heights, and all of the adjacent neighborhoods, which would include places like Vernon, Huntington Park, East LA, Lincoln Heights, Chinatown. So some of those areas would be given priority. However, that said, there are obviously several communities that need services such as ours, and so no one is discriminated against in applying to this program. One of the things that we do want to make sure that applicants understand, though, is that if you are currently enrolled in college or any kind of degree granting program, while enrolled in our program, the coursework may be too much. However, if you're in a high school equivalency program and you are attending that, in my experience, people that are trying to earn their high set or their GED, they're still able to manage with the workload of being in our program as well. Plus, we are obviously an organization that is very much about serving underserved communities. So historically marginalized communities, such as former or current foster youth, the formerly incarcerated, English language learners, immigrant, refugee community members, as well as POC and LGBTQ plus community members are obviously given priority in this application process. That being said, again, no one is kept from applying. There is priority given, though, to people from underserved communities. So, sorry, going backwards on my slides here. So, again, all are welcome to apply, but our program does seek to predominantly represent and engage with historically marginalized voices. Those are the stories that rarely ever get told through their perspective. So those are the stories that we hope to really capture and the individuals that we hope to empower through our program. The application can only be accessed on our website. Again, the website is DSTLarts.org. If you go straight to the mentorship program page, it would just be /mentorship at the very end. The application is really intended to give us a strong sense of you, your artistic practice, and your connection to your community. We really want to get to know you through this application. So with that said, there is an artistic introduction. There's a space for you to give us your website if you have a current website, your social media handles. It's a way for us to kind of see what you're up to. If you don't have either one, that's okay. You could just let us know in the application that you do not have that currently, but hope to have either one, whether that be a social media presence or a website at some point in the near future. We also want to understand your commitment to your craft and your community. So through the application and the open-ended questions that are on the application, we want you to give us a better understanding of your motivations for being a creative, how you practice your art, and also how that practice really represents the community that you identify with, or communities if you identify with multiple communities. And if possible, how you're engaging them. If social media is one of the ways in which you're engaging with your community already, tell us about that. We would love to know how you are using your art to make a difference within your community. There's also a portfolio that is expected to be included with this. Through your portfolio, we would encourage you to really demonstrate for us, the work that you're doing currently. This is meant to be more of a snapshot of your current arts practice as opposed to a way of showing us how you've progressed over the years. Everyone starts off at different levels, and so we just really want to understand what your level is currently in your arts practice, and what are the themes that you're exploring currently. Are they themes that represent you, that represent your community? What is your approach to storytelling ultimately, whether that be visual or literary? There's also a space for you to provide us with a brief project proposal. And this proposal is specific to the chapbook that you could potentially be working on through this program. Again, a chapbook, at least what we would consider a chapbook length manuscript, is equivalent to about 30 to 60 pages. If you're working on something like Google Docs or Microsoft Docs, Microsoft Word, that's like your basic 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with 12-point font. 30 to 60 pages equivalent. Of course, that's slightly different if you're going to be proposing a, like, say, mini comic or a, visual art kind of compilation. That would be slightly different. But that said, that's roughly the amount of pages that we consider to be a chapbook length project. We also want to make sure that you know that this is something that can be completed within a 10 to 12 month period. And strong applications will give us a good sense of theme. What are the themes that you are using to center your work when you are describing to us your project proposal? The review process is going to really kind of take these three things into consideration. At minimum, we want to make sure that people do qualify under our general eligibility criteria. You will be providing us with an address. That'll stay only with us, the staff of Distill Arts. And other eligibility criteria will be asked of you during the interview. So we will be conducting, as part of the application process, a one-on-one interview, most likely virtual. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. But we do want to make sure that applications are complete and that they do meet some of these things. We also want to see that they demonstrate your commitment to craft and community. So that's what the applications are going to be more or less judged on. The quality of your written answers are going to help us kind of rank your applications, and also the outline of your project proposal. All right, so is it going to give us enough detail to understand whether or not you're taking into consideration your time, your resources, and also your ability to complete a project within a year? There is a rubric that we will be using on our side to determine the ranking of the applications. There are 3 levels: excellent, moderate, and needs improvement. Abraham and I will be conducting the reviews along with one other person from our program, most likely an alumni of our program, to help us sort of determine the strength of the applications. So when it comes to the actual application, the responses to the questions, to the open-ended questions and the portfolio, we're going to be looking for whether or not an applicant clearly demonstrates a strong commitment to their practice. So again, really show us that you are working on your art on a regular basis and that you are committed to this as a career and a lifestyle. Also, if you can articulate a defined vision for art and your community, your art and your community, those are the things that we're really trying to understand, and really tell us what that means to you. What does art mean to you? Illustrate for us, really show us why the arts matter. Those are the things that in our eyes will rank at a more excellent level. Moderate would be, adequately demonstrating some of the things, adequately demonstrates some level of commitment to their artistic practice. There's a general vision of art and community. There's some sense there, but maybe not a very clearly defined one. And, a moderate application will also kind of say for us, why the arts matter. It may not necessarily be a fully formed concept or fully formed idea of why art matters. It could be, if a person is doing art for art's sake, that's great. But we really want to understand why it matters to you. Why is art for art's sake important to you? Why create in the manner in which you are creating? So really, again, tell us your story. Be thorough, but brief in telling us your story. Any application that needs improvement in our eyes will be generally vague. Might not be a very clearly articulated idea of what art is, what the commitment is to creating art. If it comes across to us that art is more of a hobby, we'll kind of get that sense through people's responses. So, our resources are limited as a small nonprofit, so we really want to make sure that people are, committed to being a part of our programs. The project proposal is also going to be one of the things that we review under this rubric. Strong, excellent project proposals will be mostly defined. They'll actually have a very strong sense of theme, and also demonstrate a fairly clear timeline that is, realistically feasible within the year. A moderate one would be a timeline that is maybe, a year and a half, up to 2 years. There's also maybe some elements that might be competing with each other in the description of the proposal. So, those will be viewed as slightly more on the moderate side. If it's very unclear to us of what the project is, we're probably going to say it needs improvement, and may not necessarily be selected for the second round of the application review. The second round involves the interview. So the applicant interview is going to be an opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better, actually speak to you one-on-one, maybe clarify some questions that we might have regarding your application. But, for us, ranking interviews is going to be probably difficult, but, to give you at least a sense of what we would consider an excellent interview. Really, you just know your application back and forth. You are fairly consistent with your responses in terms of what you define as community and what you define as your arts practice. And we also just, again, really want to make sure that you are aware that this is a commitment, and that you have the ability to meet the time commitment to practicing your art and also giving other people feedback, because that is very important in creating a sense of community with others. Moderate level interviews might, also reiterate some aspects of the application, and also will likely demonstrate an understanding of the time. There may be a possibility that we get a sense of a person not being able to fully, keep up with the time commitment, which could be up to 3 hours a week. Kind of think of, if you were ever in college or have ever taken a class through any other kind of method, there's obviously going to be a homework kind of assignment given, and that homework assignment, including the time spent in class, is going to be your total commitment to the program. In our case, it's roughly about 3 hours a week for most participants. So if a person is maybe kind of working a lot, not able to keep up with that, that's something that we would like to have clarified during the interview process. And then lastly, the needs improvement level interview would likely be a person that can straight tell us, they may not necessarily be able to keep up with the amount of time and effort that is required of the program, and also may not fully reflect their application. Again, the purpose of the interviews is really for us to, understand whether or not you're able to participate in full. As I said before, expect to dedicate at least 3 hours a week between working on your own work, on your own writing or art, and also reading and responding to other people. This does include the hour and a half that we commit every week, every Wednesday, to workshopping. Outside of that, you would likely spend about an hour and a half um, working on your work and also responding to the work of others. It's also an opportunity, like I said before, to reinforce your story. We really want to get to know you through your application. And, this is an opportunity for us to ask questions if we have any related to your application, related to your proposal. And also if you have questions of us, that maybe weren't answered early on. So the interviews are kind of meant to be more conversational than like a formal interview. Um, Hopefully that helps put some of you at ease. But primarily it's just kind of like the first time that we get to really understand what you're hoping to get out of participating in our program, spoken through your words. And the timeline for application is listed on the website in part. We'll actually look at the application itself a little bit more in detail. But all applicants, whether you're selected or not, will be notified by July 30th. The deadline to apply is July 15th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Not that any of you should be living outside of Pacific Standard Time, but just in case you're traveling during the application period, just know that it is Pacific Standard Time. The application
I'm on
reviews.
Mexican time. No, I'm just kidding.
In any case, keep in mind it's 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, July 15th. We will be reviewing applications beginning June 30th of anyone that does submit an application early, all the way up through to July 22nd. So we'll begin the review process relatively early on. During the week of July 25th through July 29th, we'll be conducting interviews. It may be just me, or it may be me with Abraham, plus the third alumni from our program. The interviews will be scheduled individually. And, so in that case, do understand that you would need to be responding to emails during that time period, during the review period. And most of the interviews will be, at least based on, schedules, be conducted between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily that week. If there's a need to conduct an interview outside of that time, we will accommodate that, but we're going to try to mostly conduct interviews during that time frame daily during that week. Also, for those that are selected, orientation will be on Wednesday, August 3rd, and that'll mark your official starting point. So those that are selected will be provided with access to the Google Classroom that is dedicated to this particular program, and through that particular class, you will be receiving updates every week about how to join us for the workshopping sessions and also any other announcements that we might have. Up to 12 people will be selected for our upcoming program cohort. That's the 2022-2023 cohort. Again, this is a program that is, not super competitive, I want to say, but it is unfortunately some level of competition, given the resources that we have as a small arts organization. Those 12 applicants will be also eligible for being interns through the Teaching Artist Internship component of our program. And you would also be joining our current cohort, our 2021-2022 cohort. In total, the program every year is able to accommodate up to 25 individuals. So, you would be forming, if selected, half of the upcoming cohort, or total cohort, I should say, total program participants. But yes, 12 new individuals would be joining us for the 2022-2023 program year. Does anyone have any questions right now?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so this when selected, because I'm thinking positive. Okay, when selected, is this cohort? Is it a virtual cohort at this point? or how is it going to be conducted? Where the cohort, meets and all that? Is it virtual or not? Or
Yeah, it will be virtual, primarily
okay,
virtual. We do, again, that's why we use Google Classroom and Google Meet as our meeting platform. And for announcements, Google Classroom, there will be potentially, given the fluctuations in the pandemic, opportunities for us to meet in person at some point. However, most of the workshops that the interns would be teaching would be both
yeah.
recorded lessons that are done in advance. So that would require a in-person meeting, and then the workshops that the interns would teach would also be conducted in person,
Okay.
with all of the appropriate accommodations made for accessibility, for obviously pandemic reasons, and everyone's
Perfect.
general health.
Oh, that's
But
great. That's perfect.
yeah.
Another question. When you say that we're going to be also reading other cohort members'
Mhm.
readings, um, we read whatever they wrote, their draft, and then we give feedback.
Right.
But do you Luis and Abraham look at the feedback first before it goes back to the cohorts individual?
Um,
Or so that way we know for sure that everyone's being respectful, or
right.
they're not being too hard on each other, in
Yeah.
that sense. How does that work?
Yeah, we through our Conchas y Cafe program basically have worked out a way for us to be able to teach people how to give constructive
Oh,
feedback, right?
okay.
Constructive criticism. So,
Okay.
as part of our orientation session, we will be going over how to give appropriate constructive criticism, and also, just different tools and techniques that people could use to reference certain things like, metaphor and general vocabulary that
Okay.
we would be using within the program. In addition to that, Google Classroom has the space for you to upload assignments. And the uploads would be things that Abraham and I would actually give you specific feedback, that would be, on your work. Uh, the sharing of work with others is going to be, set up through basically cohorts within the cohort, right? So we're
Okay.
going to give you an assigned group that either myself or Abraham would be leading, and then within that assigned group, you would be sharing your work by email. At least a week in advance, so that people have enough time to read your work and come prepared to give you feedback during the weekly workshopping.
So understandably, that's why you need the commitment.
Right.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
So, and a very important question is there a charge for this? Like,
No.
once selected, and you're going through all this, or, is there a charge?
No, that's a good question. This is a free program.
Okay.
This program is grant funded. Uh,
Abraham,
yeah,
look what he put.
yeah, that's
I have
Abraham
to
for
hit
you.
the lotto to do that, Abraham.
Yeah. But yeah, plus tax. But no, participation in our program is completely free.
Okay.
There is no application fee to apply to our programs. In fact, all of Distill Arts programs are free for the community. And we do record pretty much all of our lessons and upload them to our YouTube channel. So for long-term effect, people do have the opportunity to still continue to learn even beyond just the confines of our programs. None of the workshopping sessions that are conducted, through the program though, are going to be recorded. That's going to just stay within our cohorts. Um, the only thing that you as an individual participating in our program would have to pay for is additional copies of your book if it gets published through Distill Arts. So you would be given, as part of our publishing agreement, a small set that you can use to either give away, raffle off, whatever you choose to do. That set of 10 is the author set, right? So that's for you for free. Um, and then if you want to purchase more at that point, you would be able to purchase them at wholesale as opposed to retail. And then that would be for you to be responsible for, selling on your own to recover your costs. But that would be the only thing that you would have to pay for as a potential participant.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Of course. Abraham?
Since you're talking about books and selling them, you have the deal if they want to go to the route of publishing through DSTL Arts, and you're going to give them, I think it's 50%, you said?
Yeah.
15%?
50.
Throughout 3 years, right?
Mhm.
Is there a way they can reset the deal after those 3 years?
Yeah, that's
renew the
actually
contract?
a publishing agreement that we're going to be developing this year. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the royalty for anyone that is published through Distill Arts is 50% of retail price. Yeah. So, any other questions before we do a quick overview of the application itself? I see a hand from Lynette.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Lynette, you're on mute.
Duh. Okay, I've been doing this for like 10 years. I still do that. Thank you for all this great info and for hosting this session. I have a question about you said you really embraced or like work with multimedia or like multidisciplinary artists. Can you tell us what other maybe formats have you engaged in the works you've published or like in the chapbooks maybe that you've published in the past? And are you pretty open to publishing mixed genre, or do you prefer that people kind of stick to one thing?
No, I actually, like you said, we do definitely encourage people to explore various mediums. Because we are mostly a literary arts organization, by publishing, when we refer to publishing, we're talking about physical books. So in that sense, do keep in mind that whatever project you propose will likely take the form of a physical book. But that said, there is opportunity also for us to discuss potentially doing ebooks if you have like rich media. Which would be, things like video or augmented reality, other things like that. Netflix shows would be something else, Abraham. But the form that your artwork could take could be a blend of poetry, microfiction, or flash fiction, a blend of photography and design, any kind of medium that really can be reproduced in a physical book. That also includes things like comics. So if you're writing mini comics and would like to do something a little bit longer, we could definitely accommodate something like that. Again, if you want to do explorations in things like augmented reality, that's also something that we could potentially accommodate as well. Just keep in mind that there are certain technological limitations to what we might be able to accommodate. But again, pitch it to us, propose it to us. And if it's something that we feel like we can support, or we can maybe direct you into someone else that can publish it, quote unquote, we'll definitely encourage you in that way.
Thanks so much. Yeah, that answers my questions.
Great. All right. Alex?
Yeah. So like, I did pick up that. So we might not be well set with our website, but we can utilize our social media handles as like substitutes for examples of our work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. So like you're asking like how you use your art. You're not asking, but you're talking about like how you're using your art as like community kind of like interactive like work, So like what I do is that I post it through social media groups, Chicano-based, Mexican-American, Raza-based kind of groups that are existent on like Facebook, for example. And I'm posting them left and right, not all day, but like every other day, more or less. does that qualify as a form of community sort of like participation? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, community engagement can take a lot of different forms. That is definitely one way in which you are, obviously engaging with the community that you identify with.
Right.
So that's definitely a good example. And if that's something that you articulate in your application, then we will obviously
Okay.
be considering that as part of your application. The portfolio that you are supposed to upload to us should also be, a kind of representation of where you are at right now in your artistic practice. So if the stuff that you're posting is stuff that you're creating, now or within the last, like, say, 5 years, and you feel it
Yeah.
still reflects your community and how you are engaging with your community, then you're definitely, on the right path in terms of your submission.
Do I get brownie points for the puppy?
We definitely love our dogs, both Abraham and I. But I can't specifically say that gives you brownie points. But your puppy is cute. Your puppy is cute.
Come on, dog. All right. That's all I had. That's all I had to put in was whether or not, because like I could definitely be posting myself on the side of walls and all that, but you know what that is? It's vandalism, and it's like a form of like graffiti, and like I got a ticket for it. So what I did was, and what I've been doing is just using Facebook groups, and that's the way I've been able to kind of like spread my message or my gospel, like as opposed to getting or potentially getting like fined,
as a former graffiti artist in my youth, I totally understand where you're at now as an adult. So,
it's a new wave, bro. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that online. You could do that through Facebook groups or Insta or Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but that's all I had to ask, really.
Sure. Abraham, do you have anything to add?
As a former person who cleaned a wall who was graffiti, no, I'm gonna start with Lynette. I think I can give you an example. Let's say you have a book that it's on paintings that you produced. Maybe on the release party of your book, we can bring the paintings and sell the paintings as physical objects, right? And so on. So it's multiple ways we can work with you, just as long as we know the kind of project and your commitment as well, because sometimes people have big visions, but not a lot of push. So there's factors to it. So we have to work with each one individually to achieve their goals, right? And for Eliondo, what was your name? Sorry again, puppy guy. I'm bad with names,
Alex.
and I can only handles I can see here, right? Well,
Alex, Alex.
Oh, Alex, there you go. Okay, thanks. Hopefully I'll remember that in 10 years. I'm bad with names. So Alex, let's say you have a portfolio, right? Don't just send us an Instagram or Facebook that is full of other stuff. Because I think sometimes people do the mistake of sending people to their Instagram or whatever so on, and it's full of other stuff and just here and there a couple of pieces. So it's gonna be hard to find whatever work you want us to find. So I think the best way is to individually send us the pieces, and then you can also send us the handle that you want. But I think the easiest way to know which pieces you want us to think of you, like that represent you, the better, because the more choices you can choose, right? I like these ones more than the ones I posted at the end.
For the most part, my public and my professional, quote unquote professional, like handles, like they show my work. Like, I mean, I got like some personal stuff here and there, but the majority, like 95% is like all my art. So like, it's not, I'm not going to send you like what I did.
In another one, if you're mentioning, I mean, not to tell you a lie, like if you mentioned me that you were trying to do art through graffiti work and you got caught up and you were trying to do that, I think to me it's a plus. Not in the legal sense, but in the commitment sense,
bro. No, I'm from Sun Valley, and I was literally like posting stuff on walls, and like I would notice that it got painted over, and like that means the city came through and like painted over like the stickers that I was posting on the wall, and I don't want to I don't want to. I mean, that's not the way to do. I mean, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation, but Yeah, I'm trying to stick digitally and like online based right now, but eventually I made the connections or I'm trying to make the connections to do the street box arts. But I'll get there. I'll get there. But anyway, yeah. My point is that the handles that I have, for the most part, share 98%. Luis, it's mostly my art anyway. I'm not sharing more of my personal stuff. I'm sharing mostly my art.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I'll put myself back on mute.
All right. And I appreciate as Lynette says, if you attach an arrest record, you get more points. Not to say that that's 100% accurate, but I mean maybe just slightly accurate.
Can I upload like a ticket that I got? Like,
well, just upload at your own risk. That's all I'm saying. So, any other questions before we do a quick overview of the actual application?
Go for it.
All right, so let's go ahead and visit our website. So again, the website for Distill Arts is dstlarts.org. Once you go to the website, this is the home page. You'll have a couple of little pop-ups that pop up, but once you're past those, you go to programs, and then here, Poet Artist Development Program. On this particular page, this is the only way in which you can access the application. So you have to visit our website in order to have the application made accessible to you. It does again go over some of the main things that we discussed through the seminar so far. When you scroll down, you'll come to this little button right here that says Submit Now. When you click on Submit Now, you will be redirected to our Submittable page. Submittable is a free platform that you can register for. If you've not created a Submittable account in the past, I highly recommend that you create one, obviously because you'll need one to apply to our program. But in addition to our program application, having a Submittable account also gives you access to many other opportunities for artists to have their work published, plus other grants and fellowship applications that are hosted through Submittable from many other organizations. So again, this particular page, when you scroll through, you'll see most of the same things that are on the website. Some of them are fleshed out a little bit more. You also see here the timeline for the application period, plus a little bit more information about the program itself, such as the project deadline. If selected, most projects should be completed by about June 15th of 2023. So that would hopefully give you a sense of how long you have to complete a project. For the portfolio submission, if you're submitting to us creative writing, we just ask that it be typed 12-point font times New Roman font or similar, and that it has your titles and author name for whatever it is that you are submitting. If it's poetry that you're submitting, you may submit up to 4 poems, not to exceed 10 pages. We don't really care about form or style. Pretty much, all things are accepted. If you're doing flash fiction, short stories, or creative nonfiction, also known as memoir, send us 300 words or less, single-spaced, and up to 2 works of prose are accepted. For visual art submissions, if you're working in comics, you can upload them as a PDF. And you can send us up to 4 pages of 2 individual comics for a total of 8 illustrated pages. More or less the same goes for any kind of illustration work. So this does include printmaking, 2D mixed media, so collage, murals, street art, anything like that. If you're submitting illustrations as well as photography, we ask that you submit them in either .jpeg or .png format only. For photography, that also does include things like photo compositions, photo manipulations, or any other kind of digital artwork. If you're working in the augmented reality space or virtual reality space, you can also submit work under the photography headline. Your project proposal, for that, this should be a very brief proposal. It'll be about 100 words or less. That is what the little, square in which you're able to write in will give you, is 100 words or less. And as much as possible, try to answer these questions. What is the primary theme you intend to explore? Is this a project that you have already started? And if so, how far along are you in completing it? And also, how does this proposed project reflect your community? If you haven't gotten it by now, I just want to be clear, like we're really looking at what you define as community and what community you identify with. And how are you working within that? We are a community-based organization. We believe that art can empower and uplift communities because it already exists in our community. So we want to be sure that we are representing those voices. Now, once you create your profile on Submittable, if you've done one already, this information will already be filled out. If you haven't yet, then you'll be obviously invited to complete this information and to create your, application. So once you input your address, you save address and continue, and then it unlocks the rest of the application. So you'll have all these details that you'll want to reference available to you once you complete that first page. You'll be entering your full name, so how you want us to address you. That'll be what you would indicate there. You would also indicate your pronouns. We are respectful of that. So, please let us know how you prefer to be referred to. This space right here allows you to share with us your website and or your social media profiles. Do indicate for us the website and username that we should be looking for if it's something like Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Also, let us know what kind of art you practice, right? You can check as many of these as apply to you. The two open-ended questions that we are going to be really considering when reading your applications are going to be these two sections right here. The first one is what motivates you in your arts practice. How do you involve and or represent your community through your art? How do you envision the community engaging in art with you? Again, you have 100 words. Hopefully that's enough. But please, as much as you can, try to address the questions and really give us a strong sense of you, your arts practice, and your community. For the chapbook length project, remember again, we consider a chapbook length project to be anywhere between 30 to 60 pages. Let us know, what is it that you feel you can accomplish during your time in the program. The program is approximately a year long, up to 14 months, with the design period where we would be working with selected participants to develop their manuscript and design the final book that would be published. If for some reason you're not able to complete it within the first year, we do have participants that actually go up to 2 years long. So, there's not to say that you have to complete it within a year, but if it's very well defined, you will most likely be able to complete it within that year. And then the following year, if you decide to continue in a more unofficial capacity, we would help with like promotion, maybe having you teach a couple more workshops, et cetera, et cetera. So the questions that are listed above in the application are also listed here for your reference. And again, you have about 100 words to give us a good sense of what your chapbook could potentially be. We ask the following questions. Do you have previous teaching experience? If you do, great. If not, that's okay. It's not a requirement of the program. It just gives us a sense of, where you're at in your practice as a potential teaching artist. Also, if you speak a second language, it does not have to be, anything specific like Spanish. If you speak Spanish, and are able to teach in Spanish, great. If not, again, it's not required. But it does help us kind of understand, what other communities are we able to work with, in part with you as a partner. So let us know if you do speak a second language or not. Again, this is not a requirement to be in our program. It's only a way for us to obviously engage with more community members. In the event of you being a teaching artist intern, you will also get support from us in helping basically conduct workshops in Spanish, in partnership with you if you are an intern. We also, because you would be an independent contractor with us, if you are selected as a teaching artist intern, we need to know if you're able to complete a W-9 or not. That's really more for tax reasons. If you have a question about that, just hit yes, and we'll still try to find a way to work with you. And then lastly, this is your space to upload your portfolios. So we have one section for a creative writing portfolio if you're working primarily in literary art, and we have a second section for visual art portfolios if you are working primarily in a visual medium. After that, you just make sure to click on I agree with terms of use. Our terms of use basically state that you are not creating artwork that is specifically offensive to any particular community. DSTL Arts does not condone nor publish work that is offensive, very explicitly offensive to people of other races, gender identities, or any of the typical equal opportunity employment things that are covered. So once you're done with the application, click on submit. You also have the ability to save a draft if you want to come back and check your work afterwards if you're not able to complete it in one sitting. Definitely make sure to save a draft. And after that, you would be getting a little email thanking you for submitting your application, with some other general information about DSTL Arts. The email address that you use to register will also be the same email address that you will be getting any kind of notices from us at. So just make sure that you are using an email address that you check on a regular basis. And I believe that covers everything. Question, Dr.
I have a
Ramos?
question.
Yes.
If going through the process of applying, if for whatever reason a question pops up, or you get a little stuck or whatever, is there anyone we can reach out to say, help? Am I in the right track? Am I doing this? Is there anyone that we can reach out to?
Yeah, you can always email me or Abraham. I'll provide you all with our email addresses momentarily.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Alex? So you're on mute, Alex.
Lynette wrote in chat box about attaching. Wait. Oh, never mind. She's joking
Yeah,
around.
that was meant more as a joke about attaching the arrest.
All right, my bad.
That is
I got
actually not a
jacket,
requirement.
I got a jacket. I'll give you the jacket. I'll print it out.
Yeah, that's not a requirement, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if you're turning that into a work of art, and that is in fact a part of your arts practice, then who am I to say? But again, keep in mind, right, that those additional essentially barriers to employment, if you let us know that does exist for you, to be completely transparent, that will give us a slightly more prioritized look at your
you already know.
application.
You got a letter from a state, from the state facility from me. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I know.
like it's not even
Not to put your business out there, man, but I know.
No. I don't mind, dude. Like,
Right.
Yes.
but yeah, otherwise, yeah, man. Like, I appreciate you bringing us in, giving us a rundown. That application sounds like it's a long process, man. But we could always save it, right, and just get back
Yes.
to it.
Yeah, the application is not as long as it appears. It just looks long because it does give you all of the information that you would need to reference if you're like working on it, right? But
I think to be honest with you, bro, the most, and I've looked into other programs, and the reason why I'm looking into this one the most is because like I know you, or I know what you're about,
mhm,
Um, yeah, the part that's always the hardest is like proposals,
yeah,
or like your project proposal, like that. I don't know a lot about. Like I don't.
mhm.
So like I'm gonna be sending out emails like, okay, what like what like, or can you guys make it so we get an example of what it should look like, and then maybe we'll use that as a template to kind of
Mm, yeah, I could try to write an example as well, and I can post that to our website. Obviously, I'll let all of you who participated in today's session know. Plus, in addition to that, all of you will get emailed to you the slide deck that I was using earlier.
yeah.
And this recording will also be posted to our website, so you can review the recording, and also you'll be able to download the slide deck from the website too. So you'll have multiple opportunities to download this information, to review the information beforehand. And again, if you do have questions, Abraham and I are available to answer questions
Yeah.
up until the week of. If you're emailing us the night before, there's honestly no guarantee that we'll be able to give you adequate
I
help.
went to college, bro. You already know it's gonna happen.
I'm just putting it
I'm
out
a
there,
private, bro.
But again, the application does give you directly in the box where you're
Yeah, it
able to
looks
write
pretty
it.
straightforward.
It
Yeah.
gives you the three
Yeah.
questions that you're meant to answer, right? So just below it, you have them as a reference as well.
All right,
So
all right,
we've tried
all
our
right.
best to support you through the process of applying.
Well, look, the way I see it, like, okay, if like the people genuinely interested in like filling it out and participating
Hmm.
are here now,
Yeah.
there's 7 to 8 people.
Hmm.
Unless you guys are gonna pull more people between now and the application deadline, and you guys have a 12 people capacity,
Yeah.
I don't see how like we can't all like get in. Like
Yeah, yeah. Woo,
I
woo.
mean, yeah, unless we don't do the application right or whatever, but like it seems like like if we all like work together, like we're in. Like come
Yeah.
on, like
Yeah.
anybody genuinely wanting to do this like should be here now, and there's 7 people right now, so that's there's plenty of room for everybody. Is what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is ponte las pilas, hermano. So Lynette,
Yeah, I'm not gonna half-ass it, bro. You know me, dude. I'll come hard.
yes, I know.
All right, let me. All right, I'll put it on mute.
Thank you for patiently waiting, Lynette. Lynette?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of, I'm just reading this, a couple of short questions. One is I know you have a page limit or works limit for the poetry versus fiction, I think. What if you're submitting both genres?
Good question for that. If I remember correctly, on the application itself, on submittable, the word limit, the page limit is basically the same regardless of what medium you're submitting. So
Okay.
ultimately, send us the work that you feel best represents you.
Okay, cool. And then the other question is more referring to the earlier part of your presentation. You said that once people like have a manuscript complete, you might publish it through your organization or possibly a different press. And I was just wondering, like, how do you decide that? Like, what might be factors that go into making that decision?
The alternate, aside from Distill Arts, would be for you to shop it with other presses. So it wouldn't be that I would recommend you to another press. It would be, pointing you in the right direction to send your work to other local presses.
You mean like Amazon or whatever, things like
I mean, if you want to go the self-publishing route, we'll teach you how to self-publish. There are other presses also that do accept manuscripts on a periodic basis, such as Bull City Press is one that has every year they have a chapbook competition. So if you have your manuscript ready and you want to send it to the competition, you're more than welcome to do so. There's Red Hen. It depends obviously, like what work you're doing and what you decide to do with it. Basically, the main idea is
there's Tia Chucha's press, there's
Yeah.
Flower Song Press. They do these rotating yeah.
Yeah. But basically, the idea is that by the end of your first year, you would hopefully have a completed publishable manuscript that you can either submit to other people and to other organizations, or you can work with Distill Arts to publish it.
Yeah, I guess my question was more about like what would make you say, oh, you should shop around this book, or like, oh, you should look into this press instead.
To answer that question, it's really just on you. If you feel like that's what you want to do, then we'll encourage you. There's nothing specifically that says that Distill Arts won't consider a manuscript. I hope that answers that.
That's
question.
all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, this is more like logistical, but like so is this like city funded or is it state funded? Is it federal or like county?
It's a combination. There's multiple sources. Yeah.
all right. No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Yeah. This is funded in part this year by the National Endowment for the Arts as well as the California Arts Council. So shout out to them.
Damn, bro. Yeah, you coming up, dude.
Let's see. We have a question in the chat from Leslie. Do y'all have any recommendations on what websites to use to make an online portfolio? We actually do have a couple of websites that we have recommended in the past, services that vary in quality and price. To give you a sense of what Distill Arts uses, I used Square, the card reader company. They are also the host of our website. There's also Squarespace. We actually did a whole presentation on that, which is currently up on YouTube under our professional development seminar playlist. If you want to check that out, you can just go to the Distill Arts YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in DSTL ARTS, and you'll come across our channel. But there's no like specific recommendations that I could offer. It really comes down to what it is that you want to do with your website. But a good question. I hope I answered, at least a little. All right. So, if there are no more questions, we did go over our allotted time. To be respectful of everyone's time. If anyone does need to step off, you're welcome to say goodnight. Again, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel and on our website within the next 24 hours is my commitment to you. And let me see.
So the application, excuse me, Luis. So the application itself, I don't know, has it already been sent to us, or do we? I'm kind of starting to get a little antsy, but that's okay. It's a good antsy.
The application is live. If you go to our website now, you can actually.
Okay, I can actually get it. Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, Abraham just posted the website in the chat for you.
Thank you, Abraham.
Yeah, of course.
Save the website. Save it so you don't forget it.
Definitely bookmark the website.
Open it and save it.
Yeah.
Or put it in your most popular websites. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then let me see. Also on the slide deck here, which again you'll be receiving, you have our email addresses. So the website here, dstlarts.org. You can always find us on social media, most of the major platforms, except for TikTok, at DSTL Arts. And then my email address is luis@dstlarts.org, and Abraham's is abraham@dstlarts.org. So, again, we are available to you as a resource if in case you have questions during the application process. We'll do our best to answer questions over the upcoming weeks and days. But again, no guarantees if you're emailing us the night before. So, we definitely wish you a lot of luck. We are obviously always supportive of artists. Our various programs are available to you as well. So if for some reason you're not selected as an applicant in our artist development program, you are, of course, welcome to join us either in Conchas y Café, or you can submit your work to Art Block Zine, Artistic Zine, or any of the other anthologies that we have. So,
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very informative and very nice meeting you, Luis, and very nice meeting you, Abraham. And the rest of you
Likewise.
guys, let's see if we see each other in the cohort.
yes, hopefully. Take care, everyone. Wish you all a good night.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Good night.